The Banowetz Podcast.
Well, welcome back to Banowetz Marketing. This is June Schmidt here this morning. Glad to be here on this day. And I'd like to welcome today Stephanie Humphreys, who is a business owner in so many different aspects. We just enjoy talking about that she is a serial entrepreneur, and of course, along with that, we think serial killer, but she is killing it in business. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us about you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am pretty much originally from Cedar Rapids. I love Cedar Rapids. I love Iowa. Spent some time out of state after my husband and I first got married, but we came back, and I'm so happy that we did. So I graduated from Linn-Mar, and I'm a Hawkeye. I went to the University of Iowa, became a physical therapist there, but over a series of, I guess, circumstances and decisions that we've made, my husband and I decided pretty early on that we wanted to try to forge our own way, I guess you could say, and started with some of our own businesses pretty early on. So I bought my own business in 2017, and it is right at home, and we do in-home care and assistance. Our mission is just to improve the quality of life for all the people that we serve. So most of our clients are seniors, but we also have some dependent adults or adults with some physical disabilities. We can actually assist anyone over the age of 18, but I think a lot of people associate us with senior care and just assisting those people with activities of daily living, we call them. So it could be helping them take a shower or brushing their teeth, getting dressed, cooking a meal, or preparing their breakfast. Just things that we probably don't even think of.
Take for granted, don't
Exactly.
we?
Yep.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, those tasks that get a little bit more challenging or difficult, or maybe just can't do them at all anymore on our own. So I have a team of caregivers that goes and works with people in their homes on those tasks. So
that's good to hear, and that's so relevant for our state. But I want to dial it back just here for a minute for our viewers, and that is, in my experience, entrepreneurs are a very interesting lot, and I mean that with an incredible amount of respect.
Thank you.
So talk to me about, so were you raised with an entrepreneur, dad or mom? How did that all get started?
You know, that's a great question, because I was not. I was not, actually. My dad's a retired pharmacist, and he was in that profession for probably close to 40 years. And he is of the baby boomer generation. And I guess I assumed that that's what I would do, because, you know, that's what I watched him do. Just a tremendous work ethic. And I don't know, he could probably count on one hand the number of days that he missed work. You know what I mean? Kind of not the way work ethic is now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's another subject.
Yes.
But for me, I think I figured out pretty early on that I wanted to try to find a way to support myself, and didn't really enjoy working for other people. I saw my dad work really hard, but at the same time, you know, here were all of these corporate executives kind of deciding when he works and how much vacation time he would get, and his pay, and just, you know, things like that. And I think I figured out pretty early on. I didn't really act on it early on, I'll say that, but I have memories of when I was a teenager and I was at my first job at McDonald's and just thinking, well, I knew I wasn't going to do that line of work forever. And I, of course, was in high school, and I got through college with that job, and just thinking kind of the same thoughts. I just didn't, someone else was controlling my pay and when I worked and how much I worked and things like that. And I don't know, just didn't settle with me very good. However, so I went to college. I have a master's degree in physical therapy. became a physical therapist because, again, that's what I thought. I'll be a physical therapist for 30, 40 years or whatever. And so I started doing that late 90s, early 2000s, and it was good. I enjoyed working with my patients, but it was still that I'm working for somebody else and someone else is deciding what shift I work and how many vacation days I get. And, if I'm sick, I have to call in and say I'm sick, and so I just still didn't really like that. So, but I kind of took a break from that for a while when we started our family, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and you still kind of don't call your own shots because then, you have these little ones that are running the show. Yeah. But then my husband ran a business during that time, so I watched him do that. And so I think kind of between both my husband and myself, and we have a similar mindset of trying to just make our own way. And then just kind of watching the daily grind that my dad went through for 30, 40 years. Combination of those two things, I think, really drove me to finally feel like, well, I could do something like that too.
Path. I think that's really important for our viewers and our listeners to hear. And alongside with that, you talked about at the very beginning when we were visiting that you moved away from Iowa.
We did.
And then came back.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we look at our young folks who, many of them are like, get me out of here, I need to go somewhere else. And I do think that's very valuable to do.
It is. I agree.
However, tell our viewers about why you decided to come back and what's been the best part of that for you and your family.
Yeah, you bet. So the grass isn't always greener. And we lived in the desert, so there really wasn't a lot of grass anyway. So when I first became a physical therapist, then surprisingly enough, because there's always been more than enough jobs in the healthcare industry, but for whatever reason, there really weren't that many physical therapy jobs available in the state of Iowa when I graduated. In fact, I know. I had an agreement actually with St. Luke's at the time. They had given me some money to help me pay for school and things like that. And then in exchange, I was going to work for them for 2 years. Well, they did not have a position to offer me. So that fell through. I had an opportunity come up in Las Vegas, and that was still around the time actually that I met my husband. It was kind of a whirlwind time, but he didn't have any trouble finding a job out there. And so we moved out to Las Vegas in the year 2000, and it was good. I mean, it was good. Completely different environment, different climate, different people. We did a lot of traveling out there. But the longer that I was there, and then especially after our oldest daughter was born out there, and having grown up here in the Midwest and wanting that Midwestern experience, I guess, for our now new family and things like that. So I started to feel like I wanted to come back. I valued more the education system here, the healthcare system. Most of my extended family and my parents are still here. So having our children grow up with them in their lives and things like that. So, and it's hot. The desert is just really hot. So I never thought I would get tired of the sun. But just for me personally, I missed rainstorms and just, the changing leaves and maybe that first snowfall and just some of those nice moments associated with the change of seasons and stuff like that. So.
That's really, really good to hear.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I've listened to you talk, Stephanie, and as most of us, or many of us would say in our own minds, that healthcare in one form or another is one of our number one concerns.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about how you have seen healthcare change primarily in Iowa, and what you do is assisting and helping so many people in important ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I still remember the days that, I was on my parents' insurance. The insurance paid for everything. You could go to the doctor whenever you needed to.
Or whomever you wanted to see.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, over the years, there's just been, such a scaling back of what's covered, who you can see, a lot more being paid out of pocket. Especially, we really appreciate this being self-employed, my husband and I, because we have to purchase our own insurance.
Right.
And it's not the best. And so, but it's frustrating because you feel like insurance is calling the shots of what is going to get covered and what isn't, rather than the medical professionals and things like that. But even in this day and age, that's where I feel really good with Right at Home, because we are providing that assistance in the home to hopefully prevent future problems. I mean, especially with, some older adults and some seniors that have some pre-existing health conditions, or maybe they've already had some hospitalizations or some surgeries or some health events that we can help them stay in their homes, maybe prevent further injury, make sure they're still eating well, taking their medicine when they're supposed to be, maybe getting the exercise that they're supposed to be, socializing. We're really the eyes and ears for those seniors. And like you said, even when we moved away for a while, and that's what we really see now, is adult children are spread out everywhere.
Yes.
We have a client right now that, her daughter is in Alaska and her son is in Florida. And so, and we're in communication with those adult children, and I've talked to adult children that are in other countries, and they just need someone like us to care for their parents and then communicate any concerns, or just serve as a resource for their parents if they need additional assistance or care or things like that. So we're really overseeing people's lives.
Really valuable to hear.
It's humbling, and that's why, I mean, it's such an honor to be able to come into someone's home and it's their home. They have every right to maintain it however they want, and they can still call the shots there, and we're there working for them and what they need. So it's humbling and it's an honor. And I would say the utmost is when someone is receiving hospice services and they're near the end of their life, and perhaps they need 24-hour supervision. And so that is something hospice can't provide. They are kind of in and out. So our caregivers come in, and I know sometimes our caregivers are there when our clients pass away, and it's just humbling, and I'm just honored to be there. Yeah,
they do. So you really have a great opportunity to partner with generations.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I'm sure comes a point where, yes, those needs are critical, but more and more that child in Alaska or that child in Florida are making more of those decisions for their parents. So that communication is so vital.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, one of the things you were talking about before we were on air for our viewers and listeners to hear about is that Stephanie really likes the medium of podcasts, and maybe in many instances would like to do podcasts of her own. So share with our viewers and our listeners, Stephanie, what that might entail, what you'd like to be able to do.
Well, like you said, I think that, especially with podcasts and, digital marketing, social media, things like that, and that's part of the beauty of being in a franchise system, that I have a contact at the corporate office for Right at Home that has really helped me increase our presence, out on the web, essentially. And, he follows all of the Google analytics and things like that, things I don't really want to do, but you have people to do those things, which is great. But podcasts, I started thinking that really early on, just because even from a networking perspective and all the different people that I meet in this industry, healthcare or senior care or anything, and interviewing those folks and other professionals. But not only that, I mean, our clients have some great stories to tell. There's still World War II veterans out there that have stories, and just or how they grew up. It's just so different than, of course, how things are today. And so to record that and to put it out there for people to know and document their life, I sometimes, I still feel like in our society that maybe seniors aren't quite given the credit or attention that they should, which
the value.
Yes, culturally, that I think you might find in other cultures where their elderly are highly revered and things like that. So it just seems like time and again, I'm meeting somebody that I'm in their home, and they're telling me about their lives, and I'm thinking, why can't I make this into a podcast or record this discussion that we're having at his or her kitchen table and things like that? So that's why.
Yeah, it's a connecting thing again.
That's
isn't
right.
It?
Yeah,
it really, really is.
Yeah,
so
it's
remind our
fun.
viewers again. What year did you buy Right at Home? Did you invest in Right at Home?
I did. So Right at Home has been in business in the Cedar Rapids area for 6 years, and I bought it from the original owner. She started the franchise here in 2014, and I bought it from her in 2017. So 2.5 years. Yeah.
And I know one of the things that you were sharing when we were off camera that I'd love to have you share with the viewers is what your role initially was with Right at Home and how that's evolved, because you and I were talking about leadership concepts. So tell us about that, Stephanie.
Okay, so when I first took over, I had to learn every single process. And I am still responsible for a few of those processes, but it didn't take too long that I felt like, okay, I need to pass on more processes and responsibilities to other people in the office. But the key to that is having the right people. And, we've gone through a couple of people in the office that weren't the best fits. So, we had to get through that time and identify someone else. But right now, I really feel like I have a strong, loyal team, in the office that is running the day-to-day operations, so that my main focus is I'm just always thinking about where else can I go? What else can I participate in? Who else can I meet? And just getting that message out of Right at Home and what we do. And because we're not the only home care company in town, obviously, but I feel so good and passionate about what we do that it's not hard to promote.
It's a necessity, and what a wonderful place to
and
have your business.
it drives me. Our caregivers inspire me. What they do is it's not easy work.
No, it's not. You're serving.
Yes.
Serving with heart, and like you intimated, it's work ethic.
That's right.
It really is. You have to be willing to work.
That's right.
So we have
it's
a young
not easy.
generation. We have millennials and younger that do love to give back, that want to be entrepreneurs.
Yes.
They want to pursue that. So if you could give some pieces of advice to these youngsters, and you're even talking to your 3 daughters.
Right.
What would you tell them?
Oh my gosh. What would I tell them? You have to, owning a business it's certainly not for everyone.
Right.
My best friend that I've had since 2nd grade, she probably looks at me and thinks I'm crazy, because there's an element of risk. There's uncertainty with it. Yes, the income potential is there of making more than average, or more than I really ever would as a physical therapist. Let's be honest. But you could make less too. And so just going into it knowing this may not be stable, and I've had to try to learn that myself. Because what we do can really, it can ebb and flow for sure. So getting used to that, and being your own boss, I think you have to have certainly a certain level of confidence and just autonomy about yourself and just feeling comfortable making those big decisions or making decisions for other people. And then, yes, you have staff that's looking at you for those decisions. Like, well, what do we do now? But I don't know. I don't feel like it's really been that hard, I guess.
Well, you're in the right seat in the bus, as the saying goes, right?
That's how it feels.
Good.
It really does. Because even I have the background in healthcare, which is great, but I never owned a business before. You know, never took a single business class. I hated economics.
I think that's important for these guys to hear.
I hate QuickBooks.
I think that's important to hear.
Because then I make my husband do QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Because he loves that. And of course, he's a business owner too. And if he wants to sit in front of the computer and crunch numbers, great. I don't really want to do that. So it's identifying, you know, where your strengths are, yes. And then any other tasks that maybe you don't want to be muddled down with, empowering someone else to do those tasks. And that's what I've had to do, because I can't be everywhere and I can't be everyone, but you certainly have to get the right people in those positions and then give them the freedom to go with those
and there just
roles.
Encapsulates 20th century skills.
Yes.
And that developing that high performance leadership team.
Yeah.
So that you can do what you love to do.
And you have to walk the talk. I mean, certainly you have to set the right example for the whole office. You have to set expectations. Yes. Yeah. The culture, just have expectations in place, have standards in place, and then stick to those, you know, be consistent. I think be available. I'm a very available business owner. Anybody in the company or anybody out in the community knows they can just call me directly if they need to or want to. I think a lot of people are respectful of that, but I'm very...
You're accessible.
Accessible, yeah. And people appreciate that.
You bet they do.
They like to hear that the owner is involved daily.
Have direct involvement.
Yeah.
So we are a marketing firm by our very nature, and we love to serve people. And so with that thought in mind, Stephanie, I'd like to ask you if you have a marketing question, a marketing issue, or as my boss, Sarah Banowetz, likes to say, a pain point.
Oh.
What might that be so that we know how that we could serve you?
Right. I mean, I've tried a variety of things. Like I have run a commercial before. I have done, you know, I'm an avid NPR listener. So I've done spots on IPR. I've really, like I said, through my web guy, I just call him my web guy, at Right at Home, we've really optimized our maybe not social media presence, but just even people finding our website.
Yes, that's huge. That's critical.
Yes, absolutely.
So
and just
that you're not the only one in town.
That's right.
So
and as a result, you know, when people do a Google search, you know, Right at Home comes up first. And then also we partner with a survey company, so we are reviewed every single month from our clients and our caregivers, and then I have put that information out there. I mean, you have to kind of make yourself vulnerable to an extent, but then you better be good because the exposure. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's immediate.
Yes.
It's very vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah.
The feedback and we have received, you know, not so great feedback sometimes. And I have gone online and addressed that.
Good.
And so you just have to be on top of those things.
Accessibility.
But I do feel like it has paid off. So
Stephanie, you were talking about pain points, things that would be helpful at this juncture in your company.
Right.
So.
Well, for me, I think we were talking earlier about having an interest in starting a podcast.
Yes.
Because I've tried different marketing, and for me, what we do, I feel like it's almost the connections that I have made with other providers or other agencies, the hospitals, and just continually continually getting in front of them and reminding them, hey, right at home, we're here. Let us know if anybody needs anything. So I almost feel like that has paid off a little bit better than some of the blanket marketing, like commercials or running an ad in the paper, things like that. And what
That's
we've
yesterday.
done.
That's yesterday.
I know.
Isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, and we've really amped up our social media presence, and we get a lot more people finding us through our website. So I feel like that's going pretty well. But the podcasting, which I have an interest in, and it's just not knowing, where do you start with that?
That's a really great question. And and listening to you talk, Stephanie, I hear you doing and saying a lot of the right and really good things. You're having that physical presence.
Yes.
It's huge, and I think particularly in a community such as Cedar Rapids.
That's right, because it's fairly good sized, but yet it's small. And I have definitely right.
It's a big town.
Exactly.
And our
exactly.
connections are huge. And we've talked about connections. Well, I have to tell you, I'm incredibly excited because you've talked about the fact that you really do want your next step to be podcasting.
I do.
And you're giving me the first opportunity to share with you what's on the forefront in this company, and that is my colleagues are in the process of developing, and I can say this as an educator, a podcast curriculum so that someone, an entrepreneur or business owner such as you, can be taught the essentials on how to create a podcast.
That would be perfect.
And to network. Because in my experience, as I talk to my son who lives in California and listens to podcasts every day on his daily commute, that this really is the cutting edge of technology in our country. It's here in Iowa, and it's here right in this very location, because we are the people that are doing podcasts here, as you can see. So,
I think
Stephanie,
that's great.
we will be in direct communication with you when this is formulated. And I'd love to have you be one of our students.
No, that's fantastic.
I'm teach, and you can.
I'm happy to hear that. Yes, because that's been the obstacle to overcome. Is just, you have a notion of maybe what you think a podcast is or what it takes, and I'm thinking, do I need a bunch of special equipment? And then I've done Google searches, how do you do a podcast? And any amount of information, and you could kind of do one on your phone and then upload it, and that doesn't seem very professional, and yet I just have all these people, from clients to other professionals in the industry, that it would just be great to have a conversation with them, and they have a story to tell. And
absolutely,
but how do you get that started, and how much time does it take, and what's the platform where someone would even find my podcast?
Right.
Well,
so we have people in this office that can do that. And what I also hear you saying too, Stephanie, is you're a busy lady. You would not be as successful in what you're doing if you weren't incredibly busy.
Right.
And your time can be best served by bringing someone in who has that expertise and has the information to disseminate, to share with you.
That's right.
Per diem or in bit pieces, so that you can pick and choose a la carte what you want to do, and then put your own personal touch to that.
That's exactly right. So, and that's another thing that I enjoy about Right at Home. I mean, I am part of a franchise system, and that's why I struggle with the word entrepreneur, because I think of an entrepreneur as someone that just started something from scratch, just came up with a product or a service or an idea that didn't exist before. And so, I don't know, that's just me. So I took over something that someone else had started, not that I haven't, like you said, put my own spin on it and my own expectations, and made a lot of changes and things like that. But that's what's the beauty of being part of a franchise system, that I have a corporate office. That's right. So they can put out their guidelines or best practices, things like that. But as an owner but I can do as I see fit in my market and in my state and things like that. But I have peeps.
Yep.
I have people that I can go to, because why reinvent the wheel? Maybe make it better.
Yeah.
But so that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
So if there is anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers that you'd like them to know about Right at Home, what would that be as we get ready to wrap up here?
Oh my goodness, I'm just so proud of our business and our philosophy. I just feel very strongly about the staff that we have in place, and I have staff that just lives our mission every single day. And that makes my job easier, and I can feel better about just getting out in the community and talking about Right at Home. And it pretty naturally, I think, comes out when I'm talking to people about it, and just feel good about what we're doing. And I will never say that we're perfect, and we have our challenges, just like the whole industry does, healthcare as a whole. But I think the way that we're dealing with them and the fact that we're dealing with them, recognizing them and dealing with them sets us apart. We're very responsive when someone does need help. I mean, gosh, I've gone to meet families on weekends, in the evening hours. And between me and my staff, we just kind of feel like we're putting our capes on and problem solving and figuring out what we can do to maybe bring that person home from the hospital safely and things like that. So our response,
superheroes of
yeah,
healthcare.
kind of. That's kind of how it feels. I mean, getting the staff set up to support that person when they're at home, and it's fun. It's fun.
Great, Stephanie. So to conclude, tell us how we find you. How do we locate you?
Well, my office is right on First Avenue, so I don't think we're too hard to find.
Okay.
But our website is www.rahcr.com. And like I said, my office is on First Avenue. We're at 2616 on the corner of First Avenue and 27th Street. And our number is 319-826-6608. And we answer the phone 24 hours a day. I don't recommend that you call at 2 in the morning, but I won't be answering the phone at 2 in the morning. But we do offer 24-hour on-call service for what anybody needs. So
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here
This was
today,
fun.
Stephanie. Yeah, we just appreciate all the information.
You bet.
And how we can, in the future, partner with you.
Yeah.
And on behalf of all of us here at Banowetz Marketing, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Make it a great day.